So thank you very much for joining me for this webinar. And I have my mentor, Arthur Carmazzi, who's here live all the way from Bali. Okay, Bali is in Indonesia, small island, beautiful place. So Arthur is saying hello to all of you. And this is a live session we're having. And we're going to talk about creating high-performing team synergy and the colored brain. So this is a wonderful topic. And Arthur has helped us craft this, this presentation. And I'm also a certified trainer. So I'll be talking more about team building in this 1 hour. Please give us your time. Okay. This is a 1 hour presentation. And a little bit about me, because I am Ahsenqazi, and I've been mentored and trained by Arthur Carmazzi. I was certified about a couple of years ago by Arthur Carmazzi. And then I made my company, training company. I've been a trainer for about some time, but Arthur Carmazzi has been a trainer for for a long time, I think more than 2 decades. And he's certified trainers like me all around the world, hundreds of them in different countries. Okay, so that's why we're lucky to have him today. He was in Greece, I think a week ago, I think about 2 days ago, and he's just back, and we're lucky to have him today. So my area of expertise is about leadership, team building, and cultural change. And also, I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, and also an author of a few books. And I'm also certified by Directive Communication International, which is Arthur's company. And I'm also a channel partner in Pakistan, official channel partner for the Colored Brain. So we work together, me and Arthur. So this is Arthur Carmazzi. Okay, if you like this photograph, okay. On this photograph of Arthur Carmazzi, and he's a best-selling author, and he's currently ranked #1 as the organizational cultural thought leader according to the global gurus. So he's a photograph of showcasing him about his organizational culture. So he's a real expert. He's done organizational cultural change for so many companies, and he has 100% success record. So that is something really to be proud of, and that's some achievement. So he knows much more than us, and that's why we invited him to talk about team building and cultural change and all this. So now I'll be just giving a small introduction about team building, and then I have a lot of questions for Arthur. He'll make us understand how we could work in teams, how we could have better teamwork and all that. So a little bit about team building. Team building, once you were in a university or once you were growing up, you were with your family members, your peers or other associates, they were all teams. You played football, you played hockey, you played cricket. So you realize sometimes teamwork is really good. There's a lot of communication and good synchronization, and sometimes it becomes a disaster. So we have to talk about what are those things we could use to have better team building and better trust, and because we need to have more profit and more productivity in our teams. So this is a slide, and this is a person who has a team of 4 people, including himself, and he's worried. How do I motivate my team? So this sometimes happens to me as well, and I've had problems leading teams, but I've been successful as well. So I want to have those markers, and we'll be talking about that, how the colored brain helps us define those markers and how it can help us, get more success in our team. So the problem areas, the common problem areas which are common in team building, the first one is communication. If the communication breaks down, right, then you have lack of trust. Okay, so once you have lack of communication or the communication is poor, people don't understand you. They can't understand your point of view. And we'll be talking more about ambiguity relief process, which Arthur is going to tell us about what the ambiguity relief process is, and for a different person, and how it affects team building. All right. So the trust breaks down once there's poor communication. They have lack of trust. Just like this lady is trying to convey her idea, but somehow she's just lost in all this. And conflicts are common in teams once there's a lack of leadership and lack of understanding, and just like these guys are trying to wrestle the initiative towards their side that we're right, and why we're right, and how come they could force us to do this, and we're right. So it's a conflict. If you have dysfunctional teams, you have conflict teams, you could go nowhere with that. So with that brief introduction and with the problem areas I try to highlight in team building, I would invite now Arthur Carmazzi to talk about the colored brain and to tell us how the colored brain can help us have high performing team. So over to you, Arthur.
All right. Thank you very much, Ahsen. So, well, first of all, I guess, I mean, it really depends on, you know, what the goals are and what kind of situation you've already got in a team, right? So let me just kind of give you a brief idea of what colored brain is and why it can be used in different types of situations, okay? So first of all, there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of psychometric tools that deal with your personality, and there's others that deal with your behavior. This is not one of them. It's not a personality tool. It is not a behavior tool. So the thing is that people are constantly communicating. And the thing is that how they communicate affects the process of how they will approach a particular project and or how they will interact with other people. And of course, depending on the different mix of the different colors, that will also affect the perception of competency of that other people within your team, okay? So, for example, you may have been in a situation where you're explaining something to somebody and you're being very clear and very concise, and you ask them, do you understand? And they say, yes, I do. And you're very excited because you know that these people are going to go out and do what you wanted, and then they do something completely different. Okay? So, does that happen? Please type in the chat if that's ever happened. Okay? So,
yeah.
Okay, so this essentially is one of the things that affects ultimately the engagement in that team, right? And also where you feel that people just don't get you, they don't understand you, they want you to do stuff in a stupid way instead of letting you be successful. So all of these things affect your engagement, your morale, and ultimately the trust that goes both ways between team leaders and team members. All right? So yeah, most of the time. All right. So
yeah.
So
okay.
So what happens is that, see, colored brain deals with only one thing, all right? Now, why is it only one thing? Because one thing is not complicated. If you start to go into personality and behavior and all these kinds of things, I mean, honestly, it gets really complicated. And then you have to go through all these big, long trainings, and then only the HR people know what's going on and nobody else does, so it doesn't really help, right? So
yeah.
The key is to have something simple, powerful, and applicable to everybody across the organization or across the team. Doesn't matter whether you're the CEO or the cleaner. All right? So first of all, colored brain deals with one thing, and that one thing is what's called the brain's genetic ambiguity relief process, okay? So there's a whole bunch of science behind it. I'm not going to go into that. There's all kinds of papers and journals and everything else that have been written about the genetic ambiguity relief process. This is the only tool and system that identifies and measures the brain's ambiguity relief process is colored brain. It's the only one, okay? Now, the ambiguity relief process essentially is how your brain gets clarity, all right? That's it. It's how your brain gets clarity. It's not like whether you like ponies or snakes or you're introvert or extrovert or any of that stuff. How you get clarity. So there are very specific genetic processes that determine how you get clarity. Now, I should mention that even though it's called colored brain, technically the genetics are not found in your brain because it deals with the regulation of neurotransmitters that create connections in your brain. Okay, so just to kind of clarify that. So anyway, when you understand the foundation of how people get clarity, well, that also helps you to understand how you get clarity compared to other people, which means now you can also manage your expectations, which also means instead of accidentally setting people up for failure, you can set them up for success. And by having a general awareness of you and of course of the people around you also having this awareness, okay, that means that everybody is able to do this with everyone else, which means that you have more general engagement, you have more synergy, and you have more trust. Because half the time, all of the conflict and lack of trust comes from a foundation of really misunderstanding a person's real potential. Okay, now let me ask you a question. How many times have you ever been in a situation where you know that the person that is giving you instructions is an idiot?
Yeah.
Right? I mean that in a nice way, but I mean, it's like you're thinking, why are they doing it this way? It makes absolutely no sense. Have you ever been in that? Just type something if you've ever had that kind of Okay? Because what happens is, it's not that they're wrong. What happens is that they have their way of basically getting clarity. So for them, it's common sense. It's obvious, right? But for other people, you're looking at these people trying to get you to do things their way. And if you have a different process of getting clarity, you're looking at this person thinking, why would I ever do it that way? It's just wrong. Okay, whether you think it wastes your time, or it's not fast enough, or it's not effective enough, or whatever, okay, the point is that now you start to think that person has less, that they're basically making you unsuccessful. Okay, and it's not that they're trying to. From their perspective, they know, right? It's common sense, it's obvious. They know what works based on what they have done and how they have done it. But the problem is that because we literally have different hows, then we end up trying to do something somebody else's way, which is never going to be as good as their way anyway, instead of trying to do it our way, which is our success formula, using our genetic ambiguity relief process, or our genetic way of getting clarity. Okay? So when you have an understanding of colored brain, what happens is that you have an understanding of how and why people can, or how people can really create synergy and create more respect and trust in any kind of a team environment. Okay, so that's kind of the general overview of colored brain. Anything else that you wanted to talk about, Ahsen?
Yeah, so this is great. So Arthur, the ambiguity relief process, is it different for different people? And what if I'm aware of my ambiguity relief process? How could that affect others? And if I'm aware of, how could I pinpoint, like if somebody, because we have these colors, I think we would talk about this red brain, purple brain, blue brain, and green brain. So I'm red brain because I've gone through this training, and I know, and I'm a certified trainer. So I was looking for structure, and I know Arthur is green brain, so I knew what to expect. But in case if there's a team, do we need to do the colored brain test to really pinpoint the weak areas or those areas which we could have conflict on? How could we do that in an efficient way?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's not really about it's first of all, understanding your strengths is a key area, but it's also important to know that behaviors can change. Okay, so just because you're red brain or green brain or whatever doesn't mean that you can't be, let's say, for example, analytical. So a red brain is going to naturally be analytical in a structured way, okay, which is the kind of textbook style of being analytical. While a green brain can still be analytical, but they're not going to do it in the same way. The process of analysis is different. So this is where, again, some of the conflict comes in, because you say, oh, you need to, make sure this is like this. And then when I'm doing it, you look at me and it's like, what are you doing? And you said, you asked me to analyze it, but you're not analyzing it. Well, yes, I am, because, but you're from your perspective, I'm doing it wrong because you know what works based on your red brain structured way of getting clarity. While for me, chaotic processing, the structure doesn't play into the analysis. It's creating scenarios. right? It's, in your head, like.
So we have some slides as well, just to show this genetic processing. This is the green brain's process inside the brain. So these being used using their DC content. We made this slides, and this is a person. So there's a lot of things going on in this brain. Okay, so some ideas and some shapes and stuff and triangles and rhombuses and stuff and numbers. So he's doing a few things. This person is doing a few things, and this like a chaotic processing, a green brain. And we have this slide as well. So it shows information, actions, and analysis. So the green brain would get some information and would start taking action, lots of action, and wouldn't look for structure. And then after, he's at some place, you would say, oh, now where am I? I should do some analysis now. Start analyzing, So that's probably what you were talking about, because, we'll talk about red brain structure as well, a little while afterwards, and then, more information. And so it's a mix of information, actions, and analysis. So this is the green brain processor. And now we have the red brain processor. Now it's structured, because I'm structured. I can describe this much better, So looking for shapes, looking for structure. So you have just like a flow chart on a computer diagram. So you do some analysis, and then you have some results, and then you get some deductions, and then you have some conclusions. So then you can finally find your idea, And if you look at the structure, so it's like information, and then analysis. And once that's done, and then they can start taking action. So they take some time to take action, the red brain people. And we have intuitive processing. So by the way, my assistant is also blue brain, so I know quite a lot about blue brain people. So they work in intuitive way. So it's a mix of analysis and information, and then also some action as well. So these people are really good at multitasking. Would you agree, Arthur, with that, blue brain?
Yes, absolutely.
And then purple brain. I have had a difficult time with purple brain people. I had a friend who was purple brain. We used to work together, and we had lots of problems because he would ask me for so much information, and I got really fed up. I didn't know he was purple brain, but later on, once I realized, I carried out a test, I realized he was a classic purple brain who would ask me for so much information. And this is like the action processor in the brain is lots of information. And one of my, once I started working, about 2 decades ago, so I had this senior, who was my commanding officer, and he was a purple brain, a classic purple brain. So he would ask me, I was a staff officer, and I would, give him information, but he wouldn't be satisfied. Give me more information. Later on, I realized he was a classic purple brain, and that's why I had this conflict with him till the end, because he wouldn't decide, and he would just ask for so much information.